one day doing an experiment.
What
And
kind of an experiment?
let's just get a rope and wrap it around our waist and just walk around together. Just try to understand what was happening with Mary and Violet Hilton, or not Mary Hilton, Violet and Daisy.
Daisy. Well, Amarilys, I suffer from IBS, so I think that's going to be
okay.
real.
Let's not do that.
That's going to be real uncomfortable for you.
Yeah, let's not do that.
So
let me know when you're in remission.
I'll let you know when I'm having a good day. So, but when I have a flare up, it's not going to be pretty.
It's not going to be good.
Yeah, you're not going to like that. Also, I feel like that for us to do that, we would have to be in a house with all of our children at the same time, and that would be horrible.
No, I mean, we'll just tell them it's an experiment. We have to go do this by ourselves.
Oh, we can just go somewhere alone?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, girl, I'll get wrapped up with you
like
for
girls' night.
2 or 3 days. Let's do it.
Done.
Let's do it.
You didn't say it was going to be girls' day.
But you have to be connected by the butt.
Right. Bound by butt flesh.
Bound by the butt flesh.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Right before you came in tonight, I was showing Nova what conjoined twins were. She's 7, so she's never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
Let's just say YouTube is a wild and wonderful place.
Oh, such a plethora of knowledge.
Oh my gosh. So I'm sure you've heard of, there's a pair of conjoined twins who they have one body and 2 heads.
Abby and, is that their names?
Yeah, I don't know their names.
They had a little reality show for a little while.
Yes, they did. And they're like in their 30s now.
They're teachers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is, it's uncanny. Like, uncanny's not the right word. It's marvelous, really.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing how they go
Adapt.
through life that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they don't know any different.
Yeah.
Like they don't, yeah. So today we're doing Bound by Flesh, which is something Misty wants to, Misty likes these old documentaries that show up only like on YouTube.
Well, now, to my credit, I watched this like I do everything about 5 years ago.
Okay.
Because I'm a long-time documentary film watcher.
Okay.
I've watched them for many years. And nobody wants to watch them with me. That's why I fell in love with you.
Right.
Right.
But I barely wanted to watch this one.
Right, but you didn't even want to watch this one.
Yeah.
And so at night, because, I can't sleep at night, I would pull up these documentaries. And then, you know how you'll watch a documentary and then at the bottom it'll say, people who enjoyed this documentary also love this one. And so this one popped up and I was like, Siamese twins? Yes, please. I was fascinated. And then when I found out they were entertainers, I was like, again, sign me up, song and dance.
Yep.
And y'all get these cool outfits that you have handmade for each other? Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so I did not want to watch this.
Okay.
But because I love you and you made me.
Hey guys, this is On the Dock.
I'm Amarilys.
And I'm Misty.
We watch documentaries so you don't have to. And sometimes we don't even want to.
Yeah, but we like to hear ourselves
but
talk.
In all fairness, you've had to watch things that I told you to watch or asked you to watch.
I have, yeah.
And, I mean, it worked out in the end, I guess.
It did, just like you thoroughly enjoyed this one. Amarilys. Are you going to tell me that after you watched this, you were not fascinated?
It is fascinating.
And you didn't go, wow, I'm so glad I found out about this.
Well, yeah, I am glad. I didn't know anything about them, which is sad. It's really sad that not
sad.
everybody knows about them.
Yeah.
I don't know that it was my favorite thing ever, but it definitely was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It was pretty amazing. It was pretty amazing that one of them was able to get pregnant.
Yes.
Now, I don't remember if you really heard them sing very much on this documentary. I've seen it twice and I can't even remember, but I did do a little deep dive and I heard them do some singing and they're really good.
Yeah, they're good.
Really good singers, like beautiful harmonies because they're sisters.
Well, yeah, they hear each other talk all the time.
Yeah.
So, and I think, am I incorrect that to be Siamese twins, you have to be identical?
I don't know. Maybe.
I would think so because it's where the egg doesn't split all the way. Right?
Thanks, doctor.
You're welcome. I'm very intelligent.
Misty, since last time, got her maternal fetalist. We haven't even been drinking. Her maternal fetal specialist degree.
I have a PhD in baby stuff.
In baby stuff.
Yeah.
In baby stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you want to get to it? Is there
Well,
anything we want to say beforehand? I mean, I feel like we hardly ever just jump into things.
Well, we got a really cool email the other day.
Oh,
Was it an email
yes.
or was it a Facebook post?
It was a Facebook post.
Okay.
I texted you.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've given her a shout out before, but it's my friend JT. I'll just use her initials.
Okay.
And if you know her, you know her. And if you don't, then you won't know who she is.
Well, now I Facebook friended her because
you did?
Because I figured out you were personal friends with her, and so I was like, well, I'm gonna Facebook friend her too.
Stop it.
And so I did, but I don't think she's accepted me yet.
Oh, I'll check on. She is amazing at Facebook.
Listen, JT, it's not a spoof account. It's really me. I know that a lot of people are going around trying to pretend to be me because I'm famous now, but it's really me. So you can accept it. It's okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. She'll love that.
Yeah.
So she said some very lovely things about us on Facebook, and we're so grateful. She is awesome. She had a rough year back in 2021 and sort of been recovering here in 2022, and she is amazing. She's one of our very favorite people in the whole wide world.
Yeah.
So, hey, JT.
Hey, JT. Thank you.
What else? Anything? Is that it? Is that what we've got going on?
I think so. I mean, other than the fact that we've discovered that you love to drink water and I hate to drink it.
I love water. You know what? It's super duper unfair too, because I love water. Mm-hmm. I prefer it over any other drink. I will have tea every now and then, but really only if water is not available.
Yeah.
Lemonade's too tangy. I do not like anything carbonated. And if there is something carbonated, I will usually cut it with water so that it's not so fizzy. I don't like it.
So like a toddler.
Yes.
Like half apple juice, half water.
Yes.
Yeah.
The other thing is, if I were to drink Sprite and Coke all day long, as easily as I gain weight, that would be another 5,000 pounds. And then here are you and my husband who live off Mountain Dew. Literally, do not put any water in your mouth.
I wish that green divine liquid flowed out of our faucets. I really do. I wish it was in the lake and I could swim in it.
Gross.
It's so delicious.
No, it's not delicious.
It is delicious.
It is not delicious. Have you seen that movie, Idiocracy?
I have no idea what that is.
Okay. Idiocracy is a future society in which the population has taken over. Mm-hmm. And Terry Crews, you know who Terry Crews is? Terry Crews is that big, bulky,
from
former
Friday
back guy. Yeah, like he's humongous.
Yeah.
And he's like president.
I know who you're talking about now.
And Mountain Dew type drink, Mountain Dew, is what they have in water fountains because it has electrolytes.
That sounds amazing.
That's my husband's dream.
That's my dream as well.
Gross.
I think everybody deserves to have Mountain Dew. It makes me happy and fun. What we're talking about today is a documentary called Bound by Flesh. And basically,
where can they find it?
Well, where did you find it?
I found it on an app called Plex, Plex. Mm-hmm. And it's just a streaming service, but it has commercials.
Okay.
It's free.
I sadly own it.
You own it. Okay. Somebody's getting too much Patreon money.
Because I've watched it. I've got no Patreon. I've actually watched it several times. And so I just purchased it.
You purchased it
on Apple movies.
Okay.
So
download it on Plex for free, watch some commercials, or
you can rent it on Apple. I mean, if you're wanting to,
okay.
If you're fancy and you don't care about money.
Okay.
So, and I'm sure you can probably find it on YouTube as well.
Yeah, I think it's on there too. But I mean, you have to pay for it on YouTube, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, pretty sure.
Stupid. Shout out YouTube. Look, I know y'all got to make ends meet as well. So anyway, the documentary starts out in 1908 in February, and we are in England, okay? And so an unmarried mother has a difficult labor, and the product of this labor is conjoined twins, okay? The twins' names are Daisy and Violet, mm-hmm. right? And you hear a lot of this documentary is actually from a record that the two girls made, kind of telling their life story. And so a lot of it is actually Violet and Daisy's own voices telling the story of their life.
I thought that was them testifying at a trial. When they sued Meyer Myers?
Some of it is,
Yeah.
but some of it, if you watch, you can see a record playing, and it has their picture, and it says the Hilton twins.
Okay.
And it's kind of their little life story.
Okay.
And so I took that to mean that they had made a little record of their life story. So basically, this woman has these, then they referred to as Siamese twins. I don't know if that's a correct term.
Yeah.
I think now they say conjoined
yeah.
twins. She was devastated. She was horrified. She didn't know. Embarrassed. She didn't know what was happening, because then that was considered a curse, okay? Mm-hmm. And because she was unmarried, she thought, well, this is God cursing me to have these babies. The doctor came in and said, look, a lot of babies born like this, they die by the next day. You don't even have to worry about it. They're probably going to pass during the night, and you won't have to worry about the embarrassment. The night passes. She actually prays that the babies will die.
And they don't. They never do.
And they don't. They're just as happy as little larks the next morning. She's still very upset about it, but she meets a woman named Mary Hilton, who seems to be very taken.
Mary Hilton was her boss.
Mm-hmm. And she seems to be very taken by the twins, and decides that she's going to help this woman. She's going to come in. She's going to help feed them and bathe them every day. But Mary Hilton is not there just to be a helping hand.
Yeah, she's not taken by the twins. She's taken by the possibility of what these twins can do for her.
Right.
Yeah.
She sees cash cows.
Exactly.
Because she knows that people during that time, a lot of them who were people who had disabilities and special needs now that we see were considered in those days, and this is a horrible term, freaks.
Yeah.
And so back
it's a different world.
Right.
It's a different world.
It was a very different world. And so back then, if you had some type of genetic or developmental abnormality, that was a way for you to make money, because people are the same way they are now. They want to see what's different and quote unquote weird or shocking. And so back then they didn't have the internet, and they didn't have YouTube, and they didn't have all these places where they could, say, well, what would it look like if somebody was born with two heads, or what would it look like if so and so happened? And so
it was actually the only way they could make money.
Right. And so she saw this and she thought, wow, I can take these girls and I can really make money off of them. And so she talked their mothers into giving them to her, and she adopted them. She sold them. She
bought them.
Well, yeah, she sold them basically.
Kate. Yeah, she bought them from Kate. Kate was like, see ya.
Yeah, and Kate was like, all right, well, now I don't have to take care of them. I don't have to be embarrassed, and I can get a little bit of money.
Yeah, exactly. And so Mary Hilton took the girls, sold postcards of them. They very quickly became a sideshow.
Yeah, and these were really beautiful little babies. They were gorgeous.
So pretty.
And I think that was also another thing that she saw that would be very appealing, because it's not like people are going to look at these children and go, oh, how gross or disgusting. Like, they're going to look at them and be like, oh my gosh, these beautiful little girls, they just happen to be connected. And the way that they were connected was literally, like you said, some babies that are born conjoined could be conjoined by the head. They can be conjoined.
They share organs. Many of them share organs.
Yeah, vital organs.
Or limbs.
Yeah, or brains or whatever. Yeah. They were literally just conjoined by a little ribbon of flesh. And so it started at the very top of their butt crack, and kind of went up halfway towards their back. And so it was
like their hip and their butt.
Yeah.
And so they kind of both walked a little bit catty corner but straight.
Yeah, it wasn't like they were side by side or back to back.
Right.
It was almost like they were kind of at a V.
At an angle, exactly. That's a good way to describe it.
Yeah. And they said when they were first born that they were really tight, like they were back to back.
Yeah.
But babies move.
Yeah.
And kids are not going to be still. I don't care how conjoined they are. And so as they wiggled around and moved and started to grow, they stretched it.
I thought that was so interesting.
Yeah.
Because they were basically two very independent women who just happened to have literally this little piece of flesh that connected them.
Yeah.
Because, and if they had been born in, 2022, it would have taken no time at all to separate them, because it was not a complicated, they didn't share any organs.
No.
So it was not a complicated surgery. It was just like, let's slice them
Right.
off.
But then during that time, they had never had a successful separation.
Oh, yeah, that was not an option.
Of twins, and so that was not even an option
No,
for
it's
them.
not an option.
But they said that one of their first memories was people lifting up their dresses.
Yes.
Isn't that horrible?
I can't, that is, that's practically sexual abuse. I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, and they said that even that people would poke and prod at this ribbon of flesh because it had nerve endings. And so they said it was sensitive. And so whenever someone would touch it, it would cause the girls to like wiggle. And so they
that's
thought
how they knew it was real, and
they
it
knew
wasn't
it
just
was
a
real
latex or something that was in
Right.
there. So yeah, so they were gawked at from the time they were born.
And now at some point, Mary does see a doctor, and a doctor does say, hey, look, I don't think that it would be life-threatening for us to separate them. Of course, it comes at a risk because it's never been done before. But
Also, it's 1908.
right, it's 1908, but I'm willing to try it. And she says no.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to do that. I don't know if that's because she had
Affection.
for them, or if she was like, well, no, then they're just regular kids.
No, my gravy train.
I don't really want to do that.
So then she takes them on the road, okay? And they start traveling to other parts of Europe. Now, part of their upbringing, also they called her Auntie Mary. Part of their upbringing is voice lessons, piano lessons, every kind of instrument you can think of. These girls are being trained to be on the stage. They're being trained as cash cows, like you said earlier.
Right.
They had to earn their keep.
Yeah. And Mary let them know pretty quickly, and they said they can remember from the time that they were born that she was like, look, I'm not your mother.
She gave you up. You better be thankful for me.
I basically saved your life, and so you need to be thankful for everything that you get. I'm not here because I love you. Like, I'm here because I'm helping you survive. And so
She got married about 5 times.
They knew.
Mary did.
Now, Mary was a lover. She loved love.
I don't understand people that get married multiple times. Listen, I get a marriage that fails. Maybe sometimes your second marriage fails. Just you were in the wrong spot at the wrong time. You've made a bad judgment call. Once we start getting into 3 and 4 and 5,
I'm going to say after I've been married thrice, it's time to hang it up.
It's time to look inward.
It's time to look inward.
It's time to look inward
And be
for
like,
sure.
Is this okay? Especially if they're all dying, then maybe.
Well,
I'm probably going to get looked into because I love murder mysteries so much. But if I've just hit a snag in finding a healthy one, then maybe
a snag,
because I've got a lot to offer and I'm scared of the dark. So I'll need some. I mean, I've already told Philip, I'm like, look, I love you. You are the love of my life. I couldn't imagine anybody else in the world taking your place. But the day after you die, I'm on
the market
to go find a man that will kill bugs for me and watch me walk out to my car because I'm scared of the dark. And he said, I already knew that. You didn't even have to tell me.
Every single week when Misty leaves here at my house, the driveway is, no kidding, 8-10 yards from the front door. And every single week I have to watch her walk out the door and make sure she gets in the car.
Well, first off, it's ill lit. Second off, you live in a circle at the end of the driveway. Someone could be watching me.
Okay.
You have very tall bushes in certain places, and I'm a threat in the daylight. Much less
nighttime.
Much less the nighttime when the moon hits me just right.
Okay.
So I have to be careful.
I have heard there's some coyotes around here. I wish that this was television and y'all could have seen Misty's face when I said
Amarilys, stop. Are you serious?
I have heard, like, every now and then somebody will post, Keep your cats inside. I think I saw a coyote. It could just be another dog.
Okay, Philip thinks that I'm lying, but I promise you, I saw a mountain lion one time in our backyard
It's possible.
by the creek. There was, I'm not kidding, a mountain lion.
It's possible.
And I heard it howl, and Philip will not believe me.
We have had that same post in our neighborhood before, too.
About a mountain lion?
Mm-hmm.
I told him. And he gets mad every single time that I say, watch me to my car.
Yeah.
Because I saw that mountain lion that one time, and he's like, there's no mountain lion.
It's probably not going to get you.
Well, we've also got a lot of raccoons, and I'm not happy.
They're not going to get you either.
I'm not. They have hands, and yes, they will. I've seen them literally open a pizza box in my driveway. We have a lot of raccoons in our neighborhood.
Okay. Anyway.
You've gotten me off message.
Sorry. Way to bring us down. Sorry.
Way to bring us down. Where did that even come from?
I don't know. Oh, it was something about the dark and about...
Oh, about Auntie loved to get married.
we can go on a rabbit trail, can't we?
We can. And Auntie had a very unique name that she liked the girls to call her husbands. Well,
every single husband,
every
too.
Single
every single
husband.
One. It kept the confusion down.
Well, it kept her from being embarrassed, because what if one's name was like Ed and one's was like Bob, and this one was Bob, and they were like, hey, Ed, and he's like, who's Ed?
So she just made the girls call all of them sir. Made them call all 5 of her husbands sir.
Sir.
Just to keep things simple.
Hey, can you just start calling Rhett sir?
I will not.
Nor will I.
No, I will not. I mean, he wants me to, but no, I will not do that.
Yeah.
So they were, like we said earlier, they got taught violin and piano and saxophone, and they were just being prepared for the theater, and they were super talented. Like, they would run into, like, they were on this show circuit, and so they would run into Harry Houdini, which, by the way, I did not know Harry Houdini was that handsome.
Harry Houdini
He was so cute.
was a stud. He was very cute.
I did not know that.
With that curly hair.
Yes. I did not know.
Hello?
And it was kind of blondish.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I did not see that coming at all. But he actually was super drawn to them for some reason. And he's the one who told them at some point, you guys got to be careful.
Yeah.
You guys got to really be on the lookout. And they were like, okay.
Okay. I mean, they were 7.
Sure.
They were like, okay, Mr. Houdini.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, at the beginning, before they kind of get their own representation, Mary had got them running around with the crows, and he ran again, this is not an okay quote, a midget company, and he wanted to represent them.
Yeah.
But she had decided that there were bigger things out there for the girls. And so they were taken to Australia and traveled across Australia and performed.
When they were traveling in Australia, they were traveling by horse and carriage. Can you believe that?
That's crazy.
They were traveling from venue to venue in horse and carriage. To me, I feel like by 1908, or by then it was 1915 or whatever. Mm-hmm. Don't you think horse and carriage should have been, I don't know. I was just surprised by that. I was super surprised that was just how they moved around, by mostly trains, but also by horse and buggy.
I'm not good at history. They could have been on a camel, and I would have been like, oh, well, that was just signs of the times. So anyway, they went to Australia, and they met someone with a real unique name.
Well, it was not hard to remember his name, at least.
At least.
His name was Meyer.
Meyer.
I'm
going to say his mother did not have a baby name book.
Do you know that I have met a Reagan, and I have met a Lindsay?
I have met a Paige.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
But Meyer. And it took me, I tell you what, I had to turn on the captions.
I did
to
too.
understand what they were saying.
I thought my hearing was going out.
I didn't understand. Why are they saying Meyer? I don't understand.
I was like, are they saying Friarmeyer? Are they saying Byersmeyer? I didn't know what they were saying.
Could not understand it.
Yeah.
But his name was Meyer Myers.
And coincidentally, he was a balloon salesman.
Well, incidentally, he looked like a balloon from the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
He most certainly did.
He was shaped that way.
Yes. Well, he hooks up with Ike and Ike's little company, and he says, "Look, I'm a balloon salesman. Can I travel with y'all?" And so Ike says, "Yeah, sure. You can do that." Well, he starts getting very protective over the girls. He starts feeling really close to them. And he even starts to pursue Mary's daughter.
Edith.
Now, Edith is a looker.
She is boom.
Did they ever make y'all read the book in school, Sarah Plain and Tall?
Or have you ever watched Popeye and Olive Oil?
Dead Ringer.
Dead Ringer. Or, you know who else she looks like?
You just hit the nail on the head.
She looks like Mrs. Dursley.
Who's that?
Mrs. Dursley from Harry Potter.
Oh, girl,
in fact,
I'm Christian. I don't read that.
not us. We're Harry Potter people at our house.
No, ma'am.
Mr. and Mrs. This is I didn't even think about it. This is exactly who this couple looks like.
I guess you're dealing out Pokemon cards as well.
No, I've got limits.
Uh-huh.
I've got limits. Mr. and Mrs. Dursley, if you are a Harry Potter person, you know Mr. Dursley is very, very large.
Right.
And Mrs. Dursley, Petunia, is very, very tiny. And this is exactly who they look like.
Oh, okay. Yeah. She is a thin, gangly woman. Yeah. And doesn't seem to want to smile for photos in the ones that I saw. But, you know, Myers said, hey, lady.
I'm locking this down.
I'm taking you with me.
Locking it down.
Yeah.
And he did. He got married to Edith.
And the twins liked Edith. Like, they looked at her as kind of a mother figure.
I was just thinking, what wouldn't they like with all those curves?
What's not to like?
It's not to like about Petunia Dursley.
I mean, come on.
All right, so they get married, and so what this means is that now Sir Myers has a real good way in with the Hilton sisters, so he takes over their career.
Yes.
And Mary's like, thank God, I'm tired of it. Just kind of keep me posted.
Yeah.
And so Myers takes over.
Send me my cut.
Yeah,
I got another husband to wipe up pretty soon.
That's right. I'm working on my 6th.
Yeah.
So I got to go.
Yeah.
So he takes over, and boy, does he take over.
Well, he is responsible for bringing them to the U.S. Because remember, they were in England, and then they went to Australia. And so he decides, well, I'm going to start them out in some county fairs. I mean, what's better than a county fair?
Not much.
I mean, you've got guess your weight.
One of my favorite things in the whole world is going to a county fair.
Do you really love a county fair?
Oh, I've told you this.
Monkeys riding dogs.
Well, one of my favorite things is to go to a beauty pageant at a county fair.
What?
Oh, yes.
If you don't take me to a beauty pageant at a county fair, we're not friends. I did not even know such a thing existed.
I don't know. I know that my friend Kelly listens to this.
Are you Little Miss County Fair? Like, what's your title?
Yes, that's exactly what your title is. I have been to Miss Coleman County Fair. Let me talk to you about that for a second. It was one of the greatest days of my life. It was so much fun. That's what we used to do when we were single. We used to love to go to beauty pageants.
Like
local beauty pageants.
And county fairs.
Have I never told you about this?
No.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, so we went to Miss Coleman County Fair because my favorite part is the talent part. I mean, that's hands down the very best part.
Now you've told me the phenomenal woman.
Miss Shelby County.
Yes, Miss Shelby County.
Yeah, from the top of my head to the tips of my toes. I'm a phenomenal woman.
Phenomenal.
Then the one at Coleman County, though, my favorite one there, my favorite talent show there was the girl who actually got up and sang a song dressed as Minnie Pearl with the hat with the tag on it and everything. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. We watched that whole thing. And then have I never told you about Miss Riverfest?
Now did she sing gloom, despair, and agony on me?
That was very good. You could have won Miss Coleman County Fair at one point, I think.
Well, I grew up watching Hee Haw.
So did I. And where I grew up, it was on every single channel.
Absolutely.
All Saturday and all of Sunday.
Yeah.
At least 3 different channels. No, but my very favorite one that I ever went to was Miss Riverfest in Gadsden.
Ooh.
This one might get me in a little bit of trouble because I grew up there, and so I don't want anybody to be offended, but this is the God's honest truth. We went, there were 4 contestants in Miss Riverfest, and
talent.
I sat on the front row because I just had to. These girls sang. They got out there. One of them maybe wore last year's dress. Might have outgrown it a little bit. But my favorite one was in this beautiful taffeta ball gown. She came out and she looked at those 3 judges while she was singing "You Are the Wind Beneath My Wings." And she got to the, oh, you. And she took her finger, and every single time she sang you, she pointed at one of those judges. Oh, you. You are the wind beneath my wings. Oh, you. Now, I actually just sounded like Celine Dion compared to what they sounded like. I'm here to tell you, that young lady won that pageant.
Here's what I want to tell you is that at 12 years old, I was asked to sing at a funeral. The song I was asked to sing was The Wind Beneath My Wings to a casket.
Nice.
The only where I missed the mark is I should have pointed at him.
You did.
And I should have said you. But I didn't. I was so terrified that I requested to stand behind a curtain while I sang it because I was scared to stand next to a corpse. And so,
how old were you?
I was 11 or 12. Yeah.
So I had to sing you that song at a parent asked me to, or a daughter asked me to sing it to her dad, to her mom or something for some birthday party or something. Mm-hmm. I said sure, and she said, "Now I want you to sing another song because I want you to sing one to my dad, and I want that song to be You Light Up My Life." Mm-hmm. The lyrics to that song, Misty. You light up my life, you give me hope to carry on. You light up my days and fill my nights.
Woo, with love.
Anyway. All right. I don't know how we got on this topic, but
yeah.
Call me fairs. Fairs,
yeah.
Yeah, so the girls ended up at these kinds of county fairs.
Yeah. And so he eventually got them to San Francisco. They were held in confinement for quite a while before they were finally let into the country. So pretty much they were treated like unclaimed baggage for a little while.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? I think at this time they were probably 9 or 10 years old.
They were little.
Yeah. Can you imagine these children being brought into the country and pretty much put in jail?
Yeah.
Until they decided that they could come in. I mean, I don't know.
Well, it became a PR nightmare for San Francisco because word got out these two little girls were being held simply because they were conjoined. Yeah. And so it became a PR nightmare, and so that was the only way they were able to get out.
So they get an offer from a traveling carnival, and around this time in the U.S., this was kind of your only form of entertainment, were carnivals and later circuses. And one of the big attractions for these things were something they called sideshows. And so sideshows would be things like the fire-eating man, or it would be the bearded lady, or it would be...
I've got down the fat lady, the tatted up man, the Native African dance show, the stretched out neck, dwarves, the accordion player, the monkey girl. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was so interesting how they just threw around the word freaks. I mean, it wasn't even offensive. It was just like, yeah, these were the freaks.
Yeah.
And I'm the one who managed the freaks. And the freaks were actually the ones in the show that got paid the most money, and so we had to take care of the freaks.
Yeah.
And they just kept saying the word freaks like it was
second
nothing.
nature.
Yeah.
Well, and then they looked at that, and so some of these sideshows were man-made.
Right.
Like some of them weren't natural. Like they would make people to look certain ways. Mm-hmm. But they were saying, what they considered the natural-born freaks were their big money makers, because
the born freaks.
Yeah, the born freaks. That's where they really got their money. And they said, look, at some point these people kind of took it on as like a badge of honor. They looked at their disability, and a lot of these people were smart because they did not have the resources, they did not have the support. A lot of them were abandoned by their families. Mm-hmm. They were not wanted because their families were embarrassed. And so a lot of these people would look at their situation and go, look, people are going to stare at me anyway. Mm-hmm. People are going to look at me. I might as well get paid for it. Yeah. That became their career because that's the only thing that they could do to make money. It was either that or end up in some type of an asylum.
Yeah.
Or some type of a home.
Yeah.
Where back then they were not treated well. They were abused and mistreated.
It's interesting that there is a total hierarchy among the freaks.
Yes.
I mean, it reminds me of, and I hope you don't think I'm making the equivalence here, but it reminds me of when we talked to my friend Justin, and he told us that there definitely was a hierarchy when he was at Crip Camp. Remember a couple of years ago when we talked about Crip Camp?
Yeah.
And he said that among those of us that were disabled, there was a hierarchy.
Yeah.
And remember they talked about it? There were the cripples, and there were the, remember what they called them? Like they called themselves those words?
Yeah.
And it kind of reminded me of this, because that even among their own society, there was a hierarchy among themselves.
They had set the cool kids and the kids that weren't as cool, and the jocks, and they had set their own society.
So around this time, Mary Hilton dies, and that's when Meyer is like, well, now I've got, these girls are mine. And they basically held the girls hostage. He and Edith basically held these girls hostage. Yeah. They would not let them sleep in their own room. They wouldn't let them go out with friends. They wouldn't let them. In fact, it got so bad that the fellow freaks held a strike. They were like, we're not coming to work because of how badly these girls are
being mistreated. Yeah. Well, and too, Violet and Daisy had something that some of these other people didn't have. Their only way of making money was to be looked at and gawked at. And these girls had musical skills and talent. And
they were very good.
And they were kind little girls. And so, that community took them in and really liked them and thought, why in the world would they mistreat them? Like, they have such talent and they could do so much more than what they're letting them do.
They were cash cows. I know we've said that over and over, but they could not keep people away.
Right.
I mean, it was just, they made so much money that Myers built a mansion.
Oh yeah.
He took that money, and now the girls weren't getting any.
Yeah, and he was so protective of his investment that they said that he would sleep in the same room with them.
Yeah, he wouldn't let them.
And these are little girls who are going through puberty. Mm-hmm. Like, they're growing up. I mean, it had to be hard enough to be conjoined to your sister, number one. You never have any privacy. You're never alone. And so now not only do they have to be together all the time, but now they have this man who's abusive to them, who makes them uncomfortable, who won't even get out of the room with them.
Yeah, well, he won't let them go out. He doesn't let them make friends. They didn't go to school.
Right.
They were just being groomed to make money, and that's what they did. And he would make them clean that big, giant house.
Yeah, treat them
He was like, I'm giving you food. You may as well clean it. Yeah.
He went to San Antonio, and he built this Japanese-inspired mansion. And he had them, like you said, as their little servants to him. But then he gets the idea that, okay, well, yeah, we're making a lot of money in these sideshows and these circuses and these fairs and all this. But what I really want to do is get them into vaudeville. So he decides he's going to take them to New York, and he's going to get them in vaudeville when they're about 16. They get a new manager, and the new manager says, look, these girls are talented, and they're beautiful, but we're going to have to Americanize them. Mm-hmm. And what America likes are little cute girls with big frilly dresses and big hair bows.
Big bows, spiral curls.
And I was like, well, that is what Alabama loves. I mean.
Hey, did you know Mary Hilton died in Birmingham, Alabama?
She most certainly did.
Isn't that crazy?
I wonder if she's buried here.
She must be. I don't know.
You think so?
She must be. I mean, it would have been hard to move a body around back then, wouldn't it?
Well, if she'd have treated me the way treated them girls, I'd have rolled her tail under a house somewhere. Anyways.
I bet that would smell good.
Yeah. But so he does this. He gets them new management. They get them all dressed up and dolled up. And they start drawing a crowd and earning $3,850 a week.
At one point, that got up to $5,000 a week.
Okay. Now
Can we talk about that?
You have to think about the time that this is happening. So they're born in 1908. They're 16, so this is the 1920s, right? In the 1920s, What do you think $5,000 a week would be today?
Oh, in modern day money, I mean, it had to have been. I mean, it has to be 30,000 a week. I mean, it has to be.
I mean, yeah,
Some ridiculous amount.
and Meyer Myers he's probably paying the manager something, but he's not paying these girls anything.
They're getting very little of this.
They're getting very little, and so he's raking in the money.
Yeah.
They get so successful that they are basically working with some really big names.
Bob Hope.
They show this one part where they're performing this 4-part dance. It's Violet and Daisy, and they're dancing with 2 young men, and one of the men are
It's Bob Hope and George Burns.
Bob Hope and George
George Burns and Gracie Allen.
Yeah, Gracie Allen.
Some of the younger people, and I'm shocked that you know who they are because you're so young too.
I've watched a lot of documentaries.
When I was a kid, I mean, Bob Hope was Methuselah, so he was crazy old.
Oh,
back
yeah,
then,
yeah.
But when I was a kid, Bob Hope used to do specials, and I mean, that was so much fun to watch.
Well, he was a late night talk show host too. I remember Bob Hope having his own talk show.
Did he?
Yeah.
I just remember the Christmas specials, and it was a couple times a year, and he would have all kinds of celebrities, and he would do military things, like go out and do military shows and that kind of stuff.
They also performed with Charlie Chaplin.
Yes, that's crazy.
Again, another man that was very handsome.
Very handsome.
You would never have known it.
Have you ever watched that movie called Chaplin with Robert Downey Jr.?
About 1,000 times.
I love it so much.
I love that movie.
First of all, I love Robert Downey Jr.
I love him too.
But I love that movie.
Yeah.
So great.
I love him. They were kind of like some of the first influencers.
Yeah.
Like, they started making records, and they were put on the cover of sheet music, and they just kind of started to be like their own brand. Sir said that if they ever didn't perform, they would be put in an institution.
Well, he was constantly threatening them with institutionalization, which is scary for somebody who is not educated, has no idea, what their marketability is.
Right.
And then when they turned 18, he managed to convince a judge that they could not be, because they were so close to being independent. They were super excited about it. Like, one of them even had a boyfriend. They had no problem getting boyfriends.
They were very
One of them was
popular.
engaged like 5 times.
Oh, yeah, they were very
Yeah, they had no
popular.
problems. And they were super pumped to get independent. And he said, "Hey, judge, they can't take care of themselves. I really have to still be their caretaker." And the judge said, "Okay."
Well, and I want to be like, hey, Marvin, what?
Myers.
Myers, how much money do you need? I mean, like, I looked at them and I thought, first of all, here's what goes through my mind. If you watch the way they walk, so as you're watching the documentary, the band of flesh has gotten elasticized enough to where they can kind of walk not really side by side, but like we said, kind of at an angle.
Yeah.
But they have to move their legs in a way that aren't typical to walk forward. And they have to do it in a motion that they've figured out together.
Synchronized, yeah.
But to dance and walk the way that they do, you know that they had to have pain. Hip pain. I mean, I walk regular and my hips throb, okay?
Yeah.
And I don't even do that much. I'm not doing no 4-part dances.
Yeah.
I'm not doing the jig. I'm not playing a violin or a saxophone. I mean, like, these little girls have been doing this kind of stuff in heels since they were little girls. So, at some point they had to be like, when are we done with this?
Yeah.
Like, when can we rest?
Yeah, they thought that was going to be at 18 years old, and he had other plans for sure. And Harry Houdini, who we said they had run into him over the years, he made them read a newspaper, and he made them figure out how much money they were making, and so that was like the only way they were kind of able to all of a sudden be like, wait a minute, we are valuable.
And Harry Houdini gave them a lot of good advice. One of the things he told them, like when they were like, we don't even know how much we're worth, he said, read all the newspapers you can. You'll see how much you're worth.
People are coming to see you.
People are coming to see you.
Yeah. By this time, Daisy had fallen in love with a man named Don Galvin, or Galvin, something like that. But Myers was like, nope, you cannot see him. And it was so funny because on that recording that you talked about, they were like, we want to get a haircut, and we want to smoke a cigarette and have a cocktail like our friends.
We want to kiss a boy?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Meyer was like, no.
Yeah.
No, you can't do that. He was awful.
And poor Don, he was in love, and so he was sending flowers, and Myers would kick the vase, and finally the twins stood up for themselves, and they said, "Look, you're running us ragged. We don't ever get any money. Now we're slaves and we're prisoners, and you've told people that we can't even take care of ourselves. Like, we want our money and we want our own room." Mm-hmm. And so I think that kind of scared him a little bit, because I think he started to realize, like, these are not stupid girls.
Yep.
And as much as I control them, I've also let them out in the world enough that they see that there's more out there than what I've provided for them.
Well, Misty, this is my favorite part, speaking about how there was more out there for them. So there was a promoter. Myers was like, okay, we're going to give you a little bit of latitude. We're going to introduce this new promoter.
Right.
His name is Bill Oliver, promoter for professional wrestlers.
Yes.
Bill developed a relationship with both Daisy and Daisy and Violet. He fell in love with both, or rather, both of them fell in love with Bill, and they both knew about each other.
Bill said, "I'm looking at this as a Twix situation.
Yes,
I want the left and the right."
Yes. So obviously they're conjoined. So obviously they know about. It's not like he's going behind their back, literally.
I'm going to say he's not whispering sweet nothings into one's ear,
right?
And the other one don't know about it.
And so what's so funny about that too is somebody asked him, what would happen when one of you was getting courted, and she said, "Well, I'll just get a magazine, not just read."
Yeah. She said, "I love to read books.
I just would get a magazine and just let them do their business."
Yeah, she said, I mean, like, I kind of could go into my own mind, and I would be by myself. And so it didn't really bother me.
This was super beneficial for Bill because the girls bought him all kinds of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
They bought him a new car. Mm-hmm. But then Bill's wife got involved.
Stupid Bill's wife. I mean...
She ruined everything.
Can't he date conjoined twins without you interfering?
She ruined it.
This is what I love about Bill's wife, is that Bill's wife said, "Look, I'm really upset that you're dating these conjoined teenage twins, number one, because it makes me look super bad. But instead of just getting mad or kicking you out, I'm going to sue you for alienation of affection. Not you, Bill, but the twins."
It's sad because they were totally, first of all, they had a penchant for married men, but I don't think they maybe understood how bad that was.
Well, I mean, Auntie was getting married all the time.
Yeah.
And so they just thought to themselves, well, I mean, he can just find a new wife.
You can just cycle through these.
Yeah, I mean, they don't last very long anyway.
Yeah, I don't think, obviously they had some Arrested Development, so I think they just probably didn't know, but they really did like some married men, and those married men were very bold, and they went after these girls, whether it was for fetish or real affection, who knows.
They like them too. But here's what I wonder. I'm going to go ahead and guess that alienation of affection lawsuits are not legal anymore because the courts would be full.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Correct.
No, I think it is. I think it is a thing, but I don't think it happens very often.
So I could say, you know what? Whenever you come into Sunday school, Amarilys, Philip is always so enamored with your age versus how youthful your skin looks. And so I feel like that's really alienating affection from me because I want him to find affection for my skin versus my age. And so I'm going to sue you.
That's going to be catastrophic for our friendship.
I mean, I know you've got money. I've seen the Patreon account. There are literally tens of dollars in there. You're going to be just fine.
Tens and tens.
Tens and tens of dollars. So anyway, I mean, I might start suing everybody for alienation of affection.
I mean, that's one way to put your kids through college.
I don't like anybody taking away from my shine.
All right. So this man, this promoter, got them a lawyer to help get them emancipated from Myers.
Yes.
And the lawyer ended up being a great thing for them. He took them under his wing, and he really felt for them and really loved these girls. He and his wife, like, they were like their children almost. And this trial became like the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial of the time. I was was gonna say the OJ trial, but that's kind of outdated now.
A bee stung my dog.
Okay, side note, how crazy is that woman?
So crazy.
Now, he's not, blameless, but she cray.
Look, I've been real mad at Philip Gillespie. I've never been pooping the bed mad at Philip Gillespie. Ever in my life.
Never.
Yeah,
pooping, that's
pooping
a lot of trouble.
Mad. That's a lot.
That's a lot of trouble.
And I could have.
Oh, sure.
But I never have.
You do have IBS.
Absolutely. I could have turned it on.
Many opportunities.
I could have turned it on in a heartbeat. Let me go eat, drink a cup of coffee. It's over with.
It's done.
Hey,
side note. The other day, I accidentally got a large coffee from Dunkin' Donuts. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize how large a large coffee from Dunkin' Donuts was. It's like Slurpee size.
Yeah.
And that was not a good day for me.
Oh, girl.
Oh, my gosh.
It'll wreck your insides if you're not careful.
I've never had that kind of problem before, but I just remember I was working that day, and I was like, what is wrong with me?
Hey,
and I realized, meanwhile, I'm sipping on the coffee all day.
You're like, am I getting ready for surgery?
Oh, my colonoscopy was next week.
Good grief. Is that Max citrate? Anyway.
Wow, this got really off the track.
So once they did get free, they got some freedom. Houdini again gave them some good advice. And he said, girls, live in your minds. It's the only way for privacy. And boy, did they take that to heart.
They went crazy.
They went a little buck wild.
Oh, yeah.
They just decide that they've been kept away from love long enough. Mm-hmm. And they're going to find themselves some boyfriends. And they did.
They did. And they were both engaged on more than one occasion.
They got married.
Well, Violet tried to get married, but they could not find anybody to give them a license, because every time they would go get a license, the state would say, no, this is bigamy.
Oh, yeah.
It's insane.
This is polygamy.
It's so insane.
We cannot do this.
They're like, yeah, sir, you're marrying two women. That's not legal.
Well, but then every time they'd fall in love, they'd end up gay.
They'd end up gay. Well,
Yeah.
I don't think they actually fell in love. Weren't both those marriages?
Well, they said they weren't sure if they were
PR
publicity stunts or if...
Oh, no. That first one was a publicity stunt, because that husband, that gay dude, like the next day was like, hey, everybody, I got to call a meeting. This was totally a PR stunt. Like, he had don't you remember? He had a press conference, and he was lovely. Like, he was so sweet. And even Violet was like, yeah, it was a PR stunt, and we're still the greatest of friends, and we're still traveling. And he was really great. But you couldn't be gay in 1920.
Right.
That wasn't what you did.
But then they said the other guy was like, he really did want to get married because in his mind, he was gay. And so back then that was unacceptable.
That would legitimize him.
And in his mind, he was like, okay, well, they're viewed as freaks. And if I came out, I would be viewed in that way too. And so that felt safe for him.
Yeah.
And for them, they were kind of like, well, it works for us.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It was a way to stay on people's radar.
Right. It was a way for people to kind of look at them. And even they got to the point to where they'd go up to people and be like, hey, do you want to be famous? Yeah. And they'd be like, what are you talking about? And they'd
get married to us.
Just get married to us. Like, you'll make the papers.
Well, so what was happening was these girls had started to get older, and they weren't as cute anymore. And they weren't such a novelty anymore. And it started to become, thankfully, it started to become passe. Like, it started to become politically incorrect to go see freaks or to even call people that.
Right.
And so, well, there goes their living.
Right.
They're getting older. It's not like they can transition into something else. This was their only way of making money. So they did anything they could to remain in the public eye.
Right. And so at one point, this guy, a filmmaker, decides to make this film called Freaks. And so basically what he does is he goes out and he finds all of these past sideshow acts and people who are oddities, and he makes this whole movie about sideshows. Yeah. And so the girls become kind of the stars of that movie. It ends up not being a big hit. It kind of becomes like a cult classic kind of thing after a while. But at the beginning of it, when they wanted it to be big, it was just kind of a flop. And so they were really disappointed at that. And then, like you said, as they got older, kind of opportunities started to dry up. They ended up finding a guy that said that he would make a movie with them, and it was called
Chained for Life.
Chained for Life, and it was kind of like I don't know how you would...
It was like their life story, but on drugs.
Right, and it kind of had a plot twist where one of them accidentally murders somebody, and they really thought, well, this is going to be huge, and again, nobody cared.
And they still had to go out and promote it.
They still had to go out and promote it. And so a lot of these places where they would take it were drive-ins, and which I did not realize this, but apparently back in the day, drive-ins showed a lot of adult films.
Oh, really?
Yeah, did you not see that part?
No, I missed that.
So apparently some of the more risque films, not like porn or anything, but some of the more risque films were not considered like theater worthy.
So they put them there.
They would put them at drive-ins because they were cheaper, and like that was their clientele.
I've never been to a drive-in.
That was their clientele, they believed. And so right before the girls would come out and do their little song and dance to promote the film, they'd be watching like I don't know, Basic Instinct in our day or something. You know, like some kind of like kind of raunchy B film or whatever. So, not that Basic Instinct is. I don't know if you're a Basic Instinct fan. I don't know. Anyway,
I've never seen it.
I just know it's got some stuff in it.
Yeah.
That kind of dries up pretty quickly. You know, they're aging.
Yeah, they've got no money. They have no savings. They were used for pretty much their whole life, and then when they were able to make their own money, totally wasted it. I mean, spent it top to bottom. And now they finally found this one guy who said, okay, I'm going to try to get you guys on the road. Mm-hmm. And what's so funny is one of the things they said was the girls wanted to go out and do a show, and they kept talking about, by now it's the 50s and 60s, right?
Yeah, 1962.
Yeah, and there's cars.
Yeah.
And there's airplanes. And they wanted to travel by train, which that's not how you don't travel by rail anymore.
They're still wearing vaudeville dresses.
Yes, they could not get it out of their heads. They could not move on with the times because they just weren't trained that way.
Well, and that's all they'd ever known.
Yeah,
is
that's
performing.
all they knew. Exactly. So this one guy goes, okay, let's give it one last shot. And he abandons them in Charlotte, North Carolina, took all their money. And here they are. They've got nothing.
Yeah.
And this is where the South shines.
Okay. This is like, which was that one we did where they went to that Tennessee jail?
Oh, Bad Vegan.
Bad Vegan, when she showed up at that Tennessee jail and they were like, girl, yeah, let's make some toilet wine. Let's have a party. You're our new sister. Yeah. Here's where the South shines again. I mean, we know Southern hospitality.
Oh, yeah.
And we know how to take care of people. Yeah. Okay?
Listen, the South gets a very bad rap, and deservedly so. I mean, there's a lot of crazy thinking, backwards thinking around here.
Do some people marry their cousins? Yeah.
Yes. We cannot deny that.
We're not going to say no.
Right. That would be a lie.
Right.
But
for the most part,
this is a pretty great place to live, except for the summer where I want to just put a bullet through my brain.
Yeah, you will get some poisoning and blood pressure foot if you do not watch yourself.
Holy crap, it's so hot.
It's terribly hot.
But
I refuse to drink water.
In the South, we will take care of you.
We will.
And in spite of what people may think, we will take care of you regardless of how old you are, what you look like, what your race is, what your sexual preference. We will take care of you.
That's right.
Your mama and them, they'll take care of you.
Yeah, girl. We'll bring you in and make you a tomato sandwich.
Oh, gross. But yes.
Come on.
No, thanks. Yeah. Hard pass.
So they get abandoned, and thankfully there was a sweet man who owned a bunch of trailers, and he took them in. Mm-hmm. And he said, look, you can stay here. You can eat at the cafe that's right over here. We'll take care of you.
It was a hotel.
Yeah, it was a hotel.
A motel, yeah.
And so he takes care of them for a while. Then as they start kind of getting back on their feet, they decide, look, we've got to get a job, right? And so they go to this grocery store, and they go up to the man at the register, and they say, look, we need to speak to the owner. And so the owner comes out, very sweet man, and They said, look, we need a job.
Now, first of all, they're dressed up and they have put their makeup on like they like it.
They're
about to go perform.
They've got their red nails on.
Yes.
They're ready for a 4-part dance.
Yes.
Okay. Violin. Mm-hmm. And they say, look, we need a job. And he's like, well, you're not really dressed for it, but let me see what I can do. And so at first he says, look, I'm going to let you stand outside and you're going to hold these twin-pack potato chips.
Let's see how you do.
So the manager puts them out front with twin-pack potato chips. Mm-hmm. And the lady on the documentary said, well, this is great because these potato chips are connected.
This is perfect. This is perfect. We could not have asked for better representatives.
We couldn't have asked for better role models. And so they did so good at the twin pack potato chips that the store owner says, let me think of some other ways we can help these ladies because they're really nice ladies. They're older.
Yeah, they obviously needed help.
They need help.
They'd also been taken in by a local church.
Right.
And the church had helped them find a place to live.
Right.
And the people were giving them rides back and forth to work. And so anyway.
So he says, look, back during this time, a big issue was produce. Like you had to go have it weighed and then they would price it. It wasn't like how it is now, how you just scan it and say how many or whatever.
Well, there's a scale at every checkout
there's
counter
a scale
now.
at every checkout
Back
counter.
then, there was somebody specifically assigned to the produce that would weigh your produce, and then you would take it to the checkout counter.
Right, and they would price it, and you would take it to the checkout. So what he did was he put 2 scales, one on each side, and so that way he got double
right
the work.
Because they said you only have to pay one of us.
Yeah, you just have to pay one of us. And so they did. They had one on both sides. It was very helpful to him. It was helpful to them. They loved it. And they said that, they really took pride in their job. Like they loved.
And you couldn't tell they were conjoined.
Yeah, you couldn't conjoin it except for his little nephew who would try to stand behind him.
Yeah.
And figure out
what's happening.
Yeah. Why is their dresses connected?
Yeah.
They said that, like, really the people in the town took them in.
Yeah.
And they became kind of everybody's friend and aunt. And they said, did it help the store a little bit because people wanted to come and see them once they figured out they were conjoined? Yeah. I mean, they had people who liked to come in just to see them.
After a while, it's just the twins. They're just,
right.
Yeah.
Then they just become the twins.
Yeah, it was normal.
And they said even at one point during this time when they were working, a local doctor came in and said, look, I don't see where y'all are connected by anything vital. If you want me to separate you, I can do it.
And they said.
And you'll be fine.
They said no.
And they said no. They didn't want to be. And so they work at this little grocery store. And they said that one of the favorite things that they would do was they would go into their break room and they loved to tell stories about their past and when they were younger, and they said they would laugh. And she said it was like they had to be entertainers.
Yeah.
And they did. They entertained people in the store.
Everybody loved them.
Yeah.
Everybody liked them.
Everybody loved them.
And they worked hard and they were part of the community. And
right.
It's just a shame that they had to wait that long to feel part of something so special.
Yeah, and I think they said they ended up being there 6 years, was about how long that they were there before tragedy hit.
Yes, I don't remember which one, but one of them contracted Hong Kong flu. Apparently, it was going around. Daisy got Hong Kong flu, and she just kept getting sicker and sicker and refused medical help. The end. And then after a few days of not showing up at work, they came to check on them, and they were both obviously found deceased on top of a heating grate because they had fever. They were just trying to get warm. But what they said was that Daisy must have passed away several days before Violet did because of their decomposition.
Yeah.
But that's just how they wanted to go. So she had to sit there with her sister
attached
deceased,
to her
before
deceased. This may be too gruesome for some people, but just me as a person going, how in the world are you able to do that? They said from what they could tell is that Violet, who was the one who was still living after her sister passed, spent most of her time drinking just to kind of, I guess,
numb it. Yeah.
numb it
How
and
else?
get through it. I mean, Because you have to figure, not only is she grieving, number
Yeah.
one, but number two, she's made this pact that she's not going to survive this without her. I mean, she very well could have picked up a phone and called someone,
Sure.
and they could have separated them, and she could have gotten medical help, but
Yeah.
she didn't want that, and so she...
She also probably had the flu. She
Yeah,
probably
she
also
probably
felt
did.
awful.
Yeah, she probably did. And they even said, like, one of the things about them, even though they didn't share organs, they did share a bloodstream. And so blood would circulate between the two of them. So
Yeah.
I'm assuming if one got ill,
For sure.
the other
Virus,
one would
yeah.
eventually get ill, because they said even if one drank too much and the other one had nothing,
Oh, interesting.
that the other would get drunk.
Okay.
And so, because, you know, alcohol
Sure.
goes into your bloodstream, she basically numbed herself until the end. And so the way that they figured out, they said that they had passed away, was that it was Christmas time. And they, even though they lived on very meager incomes, that they would always buy little gifts for their friends
Oh, yeah,
around
they
town.
had 'em wrapped up
And they had them wrapped up, and they would always go out and give their gifts and stuff, and nobody had gotten their gift, and nobody had heard from them. And so they
Yeah.
found them. And come to find out, one of them, I believe it was Daisy, had actually called her boss and said, look, because they were responsible workers,
Yeah.
she said, look, I'm sick, and so we're not going to be in for a few days.
And you have to promise not to call anybody.
Yeah, but you have to promise that you won't call anybody.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want to be bothered. We just want to get better, and we're okay. But please don't call anybody. And so he said, okay. And then he said a few days later, she called back and she said, look, we're not okay. And I'm dying, and I know I am, but please don't call anyone.
Yeah.
We don't want any medical intervention, but we did want to let you know. Could you
Gosh,
imagine
it's terrible.
the guilt that poor man probably felt?
They would have declined, you know, even if had an ambulance shown up.
No, but I mean, I would feel horrible if somebody called and told me that and was like, hey, I know I'm dying. Don't call anybody. I'd be like, could you have
Yeah.
called somebody else?
Yeah. Yeah. Let somebody else know because I'm about to call an ambulance.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. Well, that was a fun story, Misty.
We were-
Thanks for making me watch that.
It was very interesting.
Picking the next one.
It's very interesting.
It is.
Hey,
It was.
the minute that your sister is being ugly to you, be like, hey, go watch Violet and Daisy.
At least we're not attached at the butt.
Yeah, at least we're not attached to the butt, and I'm not going to make you lay there while I'm dead.
Or
You're
while
fine.
I'm making a baby with my husband.
Or while I'm getting it on with my mans.
Yes.
And you got to,
At least we've got that.
at least you don't have to read a book. Okay?
To try to distract yourself from the
Try
passion.
to distract yourself
From the passion.
From the passion. Or have to share a boyfriend with me.
Right.
Okay?
Right. That's true. I'm still picking the next one.
Okay.
I did enjoy this. I did. I'm teasing you. I'm glad you made me watch it. I liked it. I did like it.
Y'all, it's good. My stuff's good.
It was good. You made me watch Eileen Wuornos on YouTube once, and that was good.
You loved it.
It was good. I loved that one.
You loved that one.
That's one of my favorite ones we've ever done.
Grey Gardens. You loved it.
I did not love Grey Gardens.
Yes,
Now,
you
I thought Grey Gardens was funny, but it was not my favorite ever.
Yes, you did.
It took me a while to watch Grey Gardens.
It did. You had to work through that one.
I did. I had to, kind of like when I watched Napoleon Dynamite, it took me 4 times to try to watch it.
What?
My husband and I tried to watch it 3 times before we could get through the 4th time.
I've probably watched Napoleon Dynamite 50 times.
Now, we love it now after we finally got through it, but it took us that long.
Eat your food, Tina.
We call each other Uncle Rico all the time,
Oh, yeah.
constantly.
I always tell Philip
And
to
my
get
friend
me
LaShawn, rest in peace, my friend LaShawn, I would always call her LaFonda.
LaFonda. Actually, the color blue on my wall behind my fireplace is called LaFonda.
Is it really?
It really is.
Oh, that's funny.
And that's why I picked it. Because I saw the name of the paint and I said, well, I have
That's
to have
it.
I have
It's
to have
fake.
this. And I love to tell Philip to get me another dang tortilla.
Rhett had the Vote for Pedro shirt,
Oh, yeah.
the whole thing. Yeah,
Absolutely.
the whole thing.
Yeah.
But it took me 4 times
Uh-huh.
to we were like, why do people love this? We could not.
Yeah.
We didn't understand it.
And I want some glamour shots by Deb like nobody's business.
Tomorrow. Yeah.
It's going to look real nice on you.
I don't know what we're going to do next time, but I did, and I'm not going to make you watch it because I don't think you'll enjoy it. But I did just watch all 4 episodes of Menudo, Forever Young.
Did you?
Yes.
How did it go?
Well, I did not know the full story of Menudo. I just remember loving Menudo when I was a kid, when I was a young teenager. thought it was super cool that they were Spanish. I'm not Puerto Rican, but they were still, you know, Caribbean Spanish people.
Right.
So I just thought it was super cool. But I didn't know how tragic some of the things that they went through were.
Aww.
But it's great. There's a lot of subtitling because it's a lot of Spanish.
Oh, heavens no.
That's why I thought Misty is not going to enjoy this.
I hate to read.
Yeah. Well, you have to the whole time because, I mean, many of those Menudo singers were not bilingual. Almost all of them were not bilingual.
Really?
Mm-hmm. They were all straight from Puerto Rico, and it wasn't until about 2/3 of the way into the whole Menudo thing that he started getting bilingual kids.
I mean, did they not sing songs that were English?
Initially, no, they were all in Spanish, and then when they tried to break into the United States, they would do it phonetically.
Okay.
They only had one singer who spoke English, and the rest of them only spoke Spanish, and they would have to sing phonetically.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, I guess I'll see you soon.